with 1 naira, of course, you need to have about 100 and 250 of that money to buy the same products. Now, that will obviously affect the microeconomy of the country. Now, if the microeconomy of the country, or the micro business of the country is not well structured, which is meant to be the fundamental base of every striving country, then we're going to have a problem. Because if there is not enough jobs out there, there are not enough businesses out there, because these micro businesses in this country is obviously being forgotten. The government of this country is running the whole show. It is not supposed to be so. The private sector are meant to be the fundamental tools running an economy.
But now we have more and more private sector participation, especially in core government, in core sectors, for instance, in power, agriculture, manufacturing, automobile. We're beginning to see that more and more the government is partnering with the private sector. So with this development now, should we expect to see a turnaround in all the numbers that we're looking at, especially as regards meeting and achieving this target of the World Bank Group?
Hopefully. I think I should give a kudos to this current administration, because there are quite a number of policies they put in place. I mean, if you look at the agricultural sector, I mean, it's actually thriving. It's moving up. Now, but we just hope that the policy doesn't derange and we don't backtrack from where we are going now, because we've seen it in previous governments where they have some policies, and eventually after a period of time it diminishes into the thin air. Now, if we look critically into this sector, now we're moving on. The manufacturing sector is meant to be growing as well, but we have epileptic power problem in the country. Now, if you try to build the manufacturing industry or the sector, and we have epileptic power system, how are they going to grow?
But then you know that the ongoing reforms that we've seen, at least the beginning part of it, where 14 companies have successfully bought into the unbundled PHCN. So yes, definitely we should begin to see some of that actualize and translate to more business. But then everybody always refers to agriculture, manufacturing and automobile and all the rest of it. But nobody really talks about the real sector, where we know that that's where crucial growth is supposed to start from, because the real sector is where the real people are.
Okay, let me give an example. When we talk about globalization, which is liberalization as well, what does that tell you? It means every country should have a free trade mechanism amongst themselves. Now, we belong to the ECOWAS, we belong to the AU as well. Now, assuming today there's open barrier, there's no barrier amongst all these countries, and we can trade freely among ourselves, which bring investments and growth into every country. Now, the issue is this: how many products do we have to trade amongst other countries? Now, we have majorly we have oil. Okay. Now we're moving into agriculture. Now, just 2 products. What happened to all our services? What happened to all the manufacturing companies? Now, if you go to all organized developed countries, they actually, when they have in the EU, for example, they don't just trade 1 or 2 goods. They have numerous of goods they actually trade among themselves, and also the services is actually booming all around the corner. Now, coming back to home again into our human resources structure, we have this is a country that has over 170 million people. What are we doing with our huge human capital resources that we have in there? Look at India, for example. Now, if you go to the UK today, excuse me, majority of the Asians have been, the UK businesses are being outsourced to the Asians, right? Now, the customer services, for example, majority of them, the customer service center is being transferred to India, and so on and so forth. The immigration sector, the post office, their retail system. Now, what does that tell you about India? They were able to invest heavily in training and equipping their citizens so they become a potential asset to everywhere in the world. So people could actually come to them and buy, or should I, if I use the word buy, the human services and use it for the development of their own countries.
So now let's bring that back home.
Yeah.
Is enough being done to encourage the growth of domestic business in all sectors, especially with a view to becoming part of the global trading economy, like you've just said?
we need more policies to be put into place.
More policies, and the policies that we have already not enough.
The ones we have is not, well, it's just, well, we every day we hear about these policies, but what's the, how can I say, the positive nature of all this policy? Are we beginning to see them overturning into productivity? Of course not. We need to really, the government really need to sit down and bring in a lot of stakeholders from the private sector. That's right. This is what we need to do. If you set up a business today, you don't have any support from the government as a private business. Okay, you don't have facilities, the credit facilities. You don't have organizations like business guardians, business angels, and network to actually support you to grow your business. So you are by yourself, doing everything by yourself.
Well, Mike,
so how do you
each
grow?
time this comes up, this issue about financing, we know that we know that there's so many interventions that have been given for various sectors that are very important, that at this particular point in time, these are the sectors that should be able to jumpstart the economy before beginning to face the other sectors. Now, funds have been made available. My question always is, when this comes up in whatever conversation I'm having, is have any of these business owners gone to make themselves, or have any of these business owners gone to access these funds? Have they made any attempts to speak to people as regards accessing the funds? Bearing in mind that when you're going to access funds, whether from a bank or any other financial institution, you have to have proper documentation. Now, do you have all of your documentation in place for you to go and stand in front of either a discount house or any other financial institution or a lender to ask for finance? Because everybody keeps beating down on the same door. We do not have enough finances. So have they made themselves available for any of this?
Yeah, thank you. I have two questions based on what you just said now. Now, you said the fund has been made available. By who? And where are the funds? What is it called? Where is this fund? How can they access these funds? That's the first question. The second question is, in most developed countries, I'll tell you how it works. They have, within the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, they have a sector that are dedicated themselves in building, supporting, and growing, mentoring new businesses coming up. Now, if I set up a business in the UK, for example, which I obviously have, what happens is you will have an organization that will write to you, because obviously you register your business, you want to go into that business. They will write to you, or they will come to you, or there are quite a lot of them out there that you can actually go to and say, I'm setting up this business. What do I do? Show me how to do this. Now, they will come behind you, hold your hand and say, right, you need to do this. Where's your business plan? Can you do a business plan? This is how, if you can't write a business plan, because without a business plan, you can't have access to loan or those facilities.
So we need to have, as much as possible, a lot of mentoring programs.
Absolutely. Now, all these people, all these organizations, it's either they're being funded by the government, or some of them are NGOs, but they are always there for every business to actually go to. It's like a one-stop shop. Whereby you go into and they tell you this is how to write a business plan. When you write a business plan, where do you want to set a business? Who are your customers? Now, you have to be able to differentiate who are you and your business. So there's a lot of things that goes on, and in most cases, you go through some training, some business training, so you can actually find out, is this business for me? Because the point, I always say this, some people have no business in going into business. So if you don't have business going into business and you go into business, there's every possibility that you're going to fail. But if you have someone to advise you from the onset and tell you this how to do it, then you know how to do it.
But now, sorry, back to the issue of funds. You say, how can you access funds? You asked the question, where are the funds? Now, these funds have been made available by, you hear about them. The Central Bank of Nigeria has released funds for some certain sectors. Hold on.
Okay.
And recently as well, to encourage farmers in the agricultural sector, both young and old, some certain amount of money was also disbursed, about 15 billion naira, to help with the planting season. And they're saying that it's not just a one-off thing. We're definitely going to be seeing more of this. Now, is it that people are not aware that these funds have been made available, which is the reason why they're not accessing it?
There's awareness, yes. That is one issue as well. If the government has a policy and there is no universal awareness coming out to everyone in every sector or in major sectors, strategically, then how will people be able to find out that these funds are available? Because I'm a businessman as well, but I can tell you, I've heard about it, but I don't even know how it works. I don't know where to access it. I don't even know if I need it. I don't know where to go to. That's the point. Now, if the government is saying that this is the money, I'll give you a simple example. The government shouldn't be focusing. I mean, I'm not saying they're not doing the best they can, but they need more strategy in place. Now, for example, if there is a sector where the government wants to focus on, they deliberately focus on that sector and forget the other ones. Now, a good example is this. Look at the Bank of Industry. The Bank of Industry focus mainly on manufacturing sector alone. So if you're in the services sector and you go to the BOI, they're going to turn you down. Now, what is the government doing about? They shouldn't be focusing on just the manufacturing alone, because the service sector complements the manufacturing sector. So the service sector, which is more critical in the economy, what are the government? Did they have any bank or such a body or institution that has been set up for the service sector to actually be able to access? These are all the things that they have to, they need to look into. And all this, obviously, will bring in buoyant economy and produce more jobs for the people and begin to eradicate poverty as we're talking about it.
Okay, so Mike, we're going to take a breather now. And when we come back, we're actually going to review what the legislators should be doing in ensuring that most of these poverty alleviation programs are actually properly implemented. And aside from that, we're also going to be looking at World Bank's programs here in Nigeria and the success they've recorded so far. So you're still watching this morning on Channels Television, and we're broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. Today, the focus of our conversation is on meeting a World Bank target of reducing extreme poverty by 2020, and what role Nigeria can, or what lessons Nigeria can actually draw from this, and what policies Nigeria can actually implement to ensure that we're also part of meeting that target of reducing extreme poverty by 2020. And I have here with me in the studio a human capital development expert, Mike Adeleye, who will be here when we return in just a moment.